What if I told you that this Friday Ferrari can change the course of its history? What do everyone look at the results of the last races, are silently preparing for 2026? Mugello is not just a clue. This time is the laboratory of a long-term plan. Why Hamilton and Leclerc will try a special mule car? What hides behind the Pirelli tire test? Stay, because what we are going to tell you will not see it in any other channel. This test day, scheduled for Friday, September 26th in the Mugello layout, has an immense symbolic and technical weight. Mugello is not just a test track. It is a place loaded with history for Ferrari, a circuit that requires precision, balance, and total performance. They did not choose this layout by chance. It is ideal to expose any aerodynamic or car behavior deficiency, and therefore perfect to evaluate the radical changes that the 2026 regulation proposes. The message is clear. Ferrari does not want 2026 to take them by surprise. They want to anticipate. The presence of Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc in this essay is not a minor detail. Both pilots are not only participating as evaluators, they are leading development. Hamilton, in his first year with Ferrari, still looks for his first podium in main races. But beyond the immediate results, his experience of 2 decades in the elite of Formula One makes it a crucial asset to translate track sensations into technical decisions. Its adaptation has been complex, as Fred Vasseur recognized it recently, but this test represents a perfect scenario for Lewis to get involved from the bases in the future car project, instead of limiting themselves to reacting to what others already decided. Leclerc, on the other hand, not only knows the DNA of the team, but also deeply understands the design philosophy of the SF25. In his role, he becomes the bridge between what Ferrari has been and what he wants to be. His contribution goes beyond piloting. He can validate whether the new technical address makes sense in real track conditions. Both are distributed in the day in Mugello to extract as many data as possible with different approaches and complementarities in driving style. This essay is registered within the Pirelli Tire Development Program for 2026, an initiative that includes several teams, but in this case finds the most ambitious partner in Ferrari. While others evaluate compounds, Ferrari is directly testing concept solutions. That not only speaks of commitment. Talk about leadership. What Ferrari will put on track in Mugello is not simply a modified SF25. It is, in essence, a disguised prototype. A rolling laboratory that encapsulates the first foundations of the car that will compete under the new technical era of Formula One in 2026. The mule car used in this test has been deeply altered in several key dimensions to simulate, as reliable as possible, the aerodynamic and structural demands of the next regulation. One of the most revolutionary components, and that has captured the attention of paddock, is the inclusion of an active aerodynamic system. Unlike the traditional DRS we all know, the new FIA approach for 2026 seeks that cars dynamically adjust their aerodynamic load levels in real time, both in line and curve. Ferrari has adapted the front wing of the SF25 to emulate this behavior. It is not just a mobile piece. It is a system that changes the balance of the car dynamically during the rotation, simulating how it will be a monoplaza that responds aerodynamically to the environment without direct intervention of the pilot. In addition to the mobile front wing, the mule car has been structurally adjusted to reduce its general aerodynamic load, in line with the regulations that seek to reduce the dependence of the load generated by the soil and encourage more adjusted and less sensitive races in dirty air. To replicate this, Ferrari has altered the suspensions and rake configuration, causing more neutral and fluid behavior, similar to the one they expect to see under the new regulation. The general dimensions of the car have also been modified, especially the track width, to simulate a more compact body, one of the pillars of the change in 2026. This modification has multiple implications. It affects the center of gravity, the stability in braking and curve, and forces to completely rethink how the car behaves in weight transfer phases. The data collected here will allow Ferrari to predict more accurately what technical elements of the current design can be adapted, and which must be completely discarded. But the focus is not alone in the chassis and aerodynamics. The session will also be vital in the development of the new compounds of Pirelli by 2026. In Mugello, Ferrari will especially test the toughest tires of the range, compounds that have not yet been approved, and that are being calibrated to support the new loads and dynamic profiles of the future cars. These compounds will have a completely different behavior from the current ones, and their optimal operating window is not yet clear. Therefore, the feedback of experienced pilots such as Hamilton and Leclerc will be crucial to define the direction that Pirelli will take. The choice to divide the work between the two pilots is not casual either. Hamilton, with its ability to detect micro variations in the behavior of the car, we'll focus on evaluating the answers of the active system and how they affect the return rhythm. Leclerc, on the other hand, will provide comparative data on how the different configurations impact on the degradation of tires in long batches, which will allow mapping correlations between active aerodynamics and consumption of compounds. This test also serves as a platform to test new tools for telemetry and predictive analysis, since Ferrari engineers are using additional sensors that collect high-frequency data, capable of capturing millimeter reactions of the car to change conditions. The objective is not only to have data, but to understand how each component of the car will interact in an ecosystem regulated by new standards. In summary, what we will see in Mugello is not a simple shakedown. It is a Ferrari display operating on multiple fronts simultaneously: aerodynamics, suspensions, tire dynamics, telemetry, and development strategy. Each lap, each simulation, each correction in the box is part of a much greater matrix. One that is not measured in tenths of second by return, but in decisions that will define their competitiveness in an entire era. Ferrari is not only testing a car, he is testing the very concept of his future. For years, Ferrari has been a team trapped in a reactive cycle, adjusting on the march, correcting errors in the middle of the season, and always being late for the great regulatory changes. But what they are doing now is different. It is proactive, calculated, and anticipated. And that, in modern Formula One, changes everything. The data they collect today in Mugello will feed factory simulations, CFD modeling, wind tunnel analysis, and software validations for the next 12 months. Each tenth obtained in this preliminary phase can be translated into a solid competitive advantage when the new cars jump to the track in 2026. And in a category where the differences between leading equipment are counted in thousands, anticipating a year can make a difference between fighting for podiums or being stagnant in the middle zone. There is also a political reading behind this test. Being the only team that will test a mule car with complete simulation of Regulation 2026 during this phase of the Pirelli program, Ferrari is positioned not only as a key taxpayer to the development of the new tires, but also as a privileged interlocutor with the FIA and the technical suppliers. In an era where the rules are rewritten and the negotiation between teams and the federation is constant, having that strategic closeness can tip the balance in future technical and regulatory decisions. From the internal point of view, Ferrari is also redefining roles. Leclerc and Hamilton are not working only as pilots. They are becoming pillars of conceptual development. Leclerc provides continuity, deep knowledge of the equipment, and precise technical sensitivity. Hamilton brings external vision, multi-champion experience, and a proven capacity to lead innovation processes within high-demand structures. That both participate in this test is not to fulfill a contractual commitment. It is a direct investment in the future of the team. Formula One is a preparation war. The car that wins the championship is not the fastest as built, but the one that is best planned. Ferrari has understood that the margin of error is being reduced in the modern era, and that if they want to be champions, they cannot just follow the leaders. They have to be the ones who mark the way. This test, silent and away from the media spotlights, represents exactly that, the first firm step towards a winning project. In Mugello, a championship is not going to be defined, but the prologue of what could be the next great transformation of the Scuderia is being written. Ferrari is not evaluating only tires. He is testing his own ability to anticipate, to lead, to redefine how a winning car is designed in the post-2025 era. The fact that they are Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc who turns behind the wheel only increase the value of this test. Both represent, in different ways, the best that Ferrari can offer in terms of talent and vision. And in the meantime, what do the other teams do? Some are trapped trying why their current cars do not work. Others are managing internal crises or off political fires. Ferrari, on the other hand, has decided to project. Throw forward. Use this test as a lever to build not only a new car, but a new culture of development. More methodical, more rigorous, more ambitious. Therefore, what happens this Friday cannot be underestimated. In each return in Mugello, there is more than data. A philosophy is hidden. A deep change in the way Ferrari understands Formula One modern. And although their rivals can ignore this test now, it is likely that in a few months they will look back and wonder why they were not who started before. And now I leave you with a question. Is Ferrari building a hidden advantage that we will only see in 2026? Or we are witnessing another false promise as many times in the past? Is this test in Mugello the beginning of an era, or just one more technical effort? Do you think this type of silent planning is the key to overcome giants such as Red Bull or McLaren? Or do you think Ferrari is still trapped in a cycle that does not know how to break? Leave it in the comments. Share your perspective.